Hey everyone, Wazesha Wednesday. It's been a while since we did Wazesha Wednesday. I'm tired of saying that. It's always been a while since we did Wazesha Wednesday, but I got an alert that it's been 51 weeks, so almost a year since my first Facebook Live. Woohoo! So I'm pretty excited to be back here. I'm gonna keep it short today, but I thought it's important for me to talk about this topic. So I was at a conference today. It's called the Atlanta Technology Summit, and Woodruff Arts Center, where we bring in the companies, the major Atlanta companies that are in tech, speakers that are in tech, and it's just overall just a great place to be. You get this tech vibe and you learn about all these new things that are coming in tech. Obviously, most of the topics were centered around artificial intelligence, AI, and all the capabilities and the future of AI. And there's just too much to talk about when it comes to AI. But I'll do a Wezesha Wednesday on it because it's just a lot and it's happening so fast. It's impossible to think about what the possibilities are. So anyway, so after the main conference, I stepped out. I was talking to someone who I just met recently when I did a talk on data centers, and this person asked me, "Wow, how do I get a job at a tech company? The company that I work at." And I said, "Well, I get asked that question honestly maybe 6 or 7 times a week. Someone's going to reach out and say, "Hey, I want a job there. How do I get a job at a tech company?" And secret, I'm trying to put something together for later this year, where I'll speak specifically to how you can do it. But that prompted me to think, well, you know what? I've never done a Wazesha topic on one, how to get a job at a tech company. Two, what are some of the roles that I believe are really good at tech companies, especially for people who are non-tech. And so I want to talk about that today. So I'll be brief. I will try and, you know, uh, uh, be honest and transparent, but also I'll be guided by what I can and cannot say. So please understand that. All right. So, what are the things that, if I were to put sort of like a rule book of the steps that you would need to do to get into a tech company, I'll outline what that is. I do want to say I've done a couple of Wazesha Wednesdays where I've talked about entry level, mid level, and senior level roles. So you can look at those Wazesha Wednesdays and see what I talked about in terms of those roles. But today specifically, I'll talk about okay, one main question I get asked is how do I get recognized? How do I, out of all those 1,000 people who are shortlisted for a role, how can I stand out? And my answer is simple. It goes back to what I said a few months ago. Now, Wazesha Wednesday, I talked about the value worth. And what the value worth is for me, that's sort of a term that I coined by putting value and worth together, right? So a lot of people talk about self worth, and that's what they put on their resume and their LinkedIn profile. I do this. I can, work with cross-functional teams. I'm a leader, so they really hype up their self-worth, which is perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. What I want to suggest to everyone is try and reframe that to what's my value worth? What is the value that I'm bringing to you as a company that's looking for someone? And that means reaching out to things that you've done in the past that have provided value to a company, to your school, to a group, to a community, and listing those things. So, your LinkedIn profile, your resume must always start with something that you've landed. I was able to mobilize resources towards a project that resulted in $1 million worth of savings. So, what is it that you did and what was the impact? Because that speaks to your value worth. Now, I recognize that everyone's at a different level, and some people may not have quantitative dollar measures for things that they've done. But even if you're in school, even if you're in college, I was able to bring people together, put a conference together that brought in 15, 15 people from different organizations to talk about jobs, and it had a 5.0 star rating when it came to how people felt about it. So there's always a way to find the impact of what you did, because the impact of what you did is what defines your value worth. And so I want to recognize that everyone's on a different spectrum. Some people have are just starting early career, some people are in advanced career, and that will dictate what impact you've had in organizations. But the first step is to reframe and think about what your value worth is, not your self-worth. Too many resumes that I see and LinkedIn profiles talk about the how. I mobilized people, I did this, I did that, I brought people together. Yes, that's important, but most important is what did you land? And that's what we call landing. What did you land? So recruiters, sourcers, hiring managers are looking for something that you landed, and for the most part, they're looking for something quantitative. So impact statements are important. So that's number one. Look at your LinkedIn profile, your resume, make sure it's good. Number two, very important, is to, especially in top tech companies, I have people who aspire to have a role in a tech company, and they aspire what their role profile should be. They're saying, I want to be this in this company. That's fine. I'll never take that away from anyone. But a lot of these companies, especially at this time when there's so many people out there who are qualified, they're looking for someone who can, what do Americans say, knock the ball out of the park when it comes to this job. So let's say you're in supply chain, right? And you've worked in supply chain for a long time, and you want to come to, let's say, a company like Meta, Google, Amazon, Apple, and you don't want to be in supply chain, you want to be in reporting and analytics or business intelligence, let's just say. And you've taken courses and you feel you're qualified for that role. Here's my advice to you: do not apply for a role for which you cannot knock the ball out of the park. So do not apply for that business analytics role. Do not apply for that reporting and analytics role. Apply for that supply chain role. Why? Because we look for people who are not just qualified, but extremely qualified in their domain. Extremely qualified in their domain. So that means, unless you're coming in as an intern on a rotation or something, we're looking for someone who can demonstrate evidence of having done a really good job in that specific domain. So what does this mean for you? This means for you, when you look at your LinkedIn profile, when you look at your resume, when you look at everything you've done over the past XX years, I want you to pick the thing that you're really good at and can knock the ball out of the park when it comes to your profile. So your profile has to state how well you've done this job, as evidenced by the things that you've done, the outcomes, and what you've landed. So number two, when trying to look for a job in a company, a big tech company, focus on what you are really good at versus what you want in the future. Now, once you're in, then you can start looking for that reporting and analytics role or business intelligence role, because that's your aspirational role. But to get in where you are an expert. So that's number two. Number three, there's some roles that are populous in a lot of these tech companies, right? So one of the roles that people always ask me about is, so you're a program manager. What does that mean? What does that even mean? And I'm like, okay, well, a program manager is really, the way I describe it, is someone who brings multiple people together, multiple teams together towards a specific objective, and then lead all those people, resources, processes, systems to achieve that objective. And so a program manager, I always say, all of us are program managers because we've done some sort of program management. We've coordinated many things, whether it's putting together an event, a baptism, a wedding, a birthday party. You bring a DJ, DJ Shaggy, right? You bring a caterer, you bring, the church, you bring the reception, and you organize them, and the floor people, like all of that, coordinating all those activities is program management. Now, what some people may not have is a good understanding of the framework and how it works. And so they do not see that the activities that they've done are program management. Okay, but that's a discussion for another day. So, what I like about the program management role profile, I was looking actually just now, I think I did a Google search for careers at Google that have program manager in them, and there were almost 1,300 jobs, right? So 1,300 jobs that have program manager tied to it. Now, what does that mean for you? You tell me, hey, Ichi, I'm not a program manager, I'm a software engineer. Okay. I'm not a program manager, I'm in logistics. I'm not a program manager, I'm in supply chain. I'm not a program manager, I'm in finance. I'm not a program manager, I'm in analytics. I'm not a program manager, I'm in construction. I'm not a program manager, I'm in demand planning. I'm not a program manager, I'm in compliance, legal compliance. I'm not a program manager, I'm in customer relationship. Guess what? Program management is a set of skills that allow you to do the job that you're a domain expert in. Okay. So, program manager is a set of foundational skills that allow you to do the work that you're really an expert in. And so, what that means is by training, I've been trained in psychology, I've been trained in networking, in tech. That's my domain expertise. But what I do for a living is I'm a program manager. So I coordinate all these things, but I know nothing about finance. So I'm not a program manager in finance. I know nothing about software engineering. I'm not a program manager in software engineering. I know nothing about construction. So I'm not a program manager in construction, right? So program management is a set of skills that you can learn, that you can develop, that will amplify the domain in which you're technically trained. So people ask me, okay, so tell me a day in your life. And I'm like, okay, a day in my life, I program manage activities that lead my company to deploy, which means to sort of like bring machine learning stuff, right? So imagine like your computer, but this is a powerful computer that is called a machine learning computer. And so this computer allows you to use AI, right? So these machines are very complex. They are designed specifically to run AI. And so someone designs what this machine should look like. And part of my job is to make sure that hundreds and thousands of those machines are put out in our data centers and so they can serve you. Now, what does that mean? That means from a program management perspective, me and several other program managers, we work with forecasting, with planning, with supply chain, with logistics, with manufacturing, with engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical, all these technical other program managers. And we all come together and within 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, we're able to deploy this thing. So I want you to think about that. What do you do in your job where you're coordinating all these efforts in order to deliver this thing? Um, so some of you may not be technical and you're like, okay, what the heck did he just say? What is he talking about? Machine deployment, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's put that aside. Let's think about infrastructure, roads, okay? So there's a set of program managers whose role is to expand the freeways. So think about all the work that goes into expanding a freeway. You have to have a plan, you have to have construction, you have to have funding for it, you have to have people who design and show what the freeway is going to look like. You have to have people, engineers who say, well, it can only do this weight or it can only be this wide. Then you have to bring people who are safety, security, environmental health. You have to public policy, people who are going to speak to the local government and you, all those people. Imagine the person who brings all those people together. So suddenly 2 years from now, you see an expansion of your freeway or you see a new freeway. That's what a program manager does. And again, these fundamental skills that help you become a program manager. And so those fundamental skills plus your domain expertise is what will give you a job in these tech companies, right? So the people I work with, some of them are not technical. Some of them are in financial planning. So they know the numbers. They're the ones who approve the numbers. Some of them are in forecasting. They're like, I don't know what a GPU is, but I guess you need it, right? Some of them are in supply chain. They just move materials. Some of them are in logistics. They move materials. Some of them are, all types of different roles. So you don't have to be technical to be a program manager. You do have to have those skills that allow you to coordinate all these efforts, to lead all these efforts that allow this to be done. So 1,273 jobs only in this company that I'm looking at. And, then people ask me, oh, yeah, but, what about Salos, right? I mean, you know, you can Google total compensation, but total compensation can be in the high five figures to the high six figures, right? So can have someone maybe making, let's say, 75K a year to people making well over $500,000 a year, right? So and this is just from a job, right? I don't mean it that way, but like, yes, it's a job, right? So program management is, I think, one of the, I don't want to say well kept secrets, but it's a gem that a lot of people don't really think about. Whenever I speak to students, I speak to people who ask me about jobs, they're like, well, I do ABC. And I'm like, cool, you're an expert in ABC? Develop this program management expertise and experience as a supplement to ABC, and that opens up the world for you in terms of roles. So I think that was number three, right? Like program management. So number one was sort of your value worth, right? You have to identify what your value worth is. Okay, then stuck with program management. I don't even know how I go to program management, but yes, okay. So program management is important. Now, the next thing that is important is relationships. So, I've been teaching for okay, almost 20 years, right? In some way or another. And I remember a stat years ago that said most of the jobs are acquired through referral. And truth be told, every job I've had has come through some sort of referral. Someone has referred me, or the biggest referrer, which is LinkedIn, has referred me. Strengthen those relationships. I need anyone out there who's listening. Strengthen those relationships. Make sure your LinkedIn profile is good. Reach out to people, connect with people, because you never know who is looking to hire, and you connect with them and things just sort of merge together and you get the role. There's no one who I know who has gotten a role without some sort of referral, right? In most tech companies, if you just apply online, and a lot of people do that, there's the automated system which might purge you, right? But when you come in through a referral, that carries a lot of weight because it shows that the person who's referring you thinks very highly of you, and that's taken very seriously. So referral is huge. Please, please, please network as much as you can. Reach out to people as much as you can. Get to know people in the companies that you're looking at as much as you can. And then I'll wrap up with this. So next thing people ask me is, okay, so I've been referred, I'm in interviews. How do I nail the interview? Again, story for another day, because I can go on for days about what interview skills are. But generally, in most tech companies, there's 5 or 6 things that you need to be able to nail down. One is nail down leadership. You have to demonstrate leadership in the things that you've done. 2 is you have to be a domain expert in the thing that you've done. That means whatever you've been technically trained in, logistics, supply chain, software engineering, networking, whatever it is, you have to really nail it down and become a really good expert at it. Role-related knowledge. So if you're applying for a program manager role, you have to know the program management framework. You really have to nail it down. Most companies have a behavioral type interview that they'll put you through just to see that you're a good person, right? Most companies will have a cognitive ability interview, right? Where they want to give you hypothetical questions and say, what if this situation happened? How would you do it? one of the things I always tell people is like, how would you explain cloud computing to a 6-year-old? I don't care how you answer it. What I care is what's the thought process that goes behind identifying how you do it. I'll take a picture on my phone, then I would go open up the laptop and see the same picture because the picture ended up in the cloud, whatever it is. I just want to see the way you think. And that tells me that if you're ever thrown into a situation, you'll be able to lean on a framework that you know that will help you accomplish whatever task you've been given, as ambiguous as it will be. And then, so I talked about domain, role related knowledge, I talked about general cognitive ability, leadership, and then some sort of behavioral interview. And then if you're going for a highly technical role, you might also have to go through a technical assessment. So if you're in networking, a very specific networking scenario where you have to make a technical decision. If you're in software engineering, the same. If you're in analytics, the same. If you're in financial planning, the same. So, I've talked a lot. Let me recap slowly what I think I said, because I don't have any notes I was looking at. Okay. 1, how do you nail a job in a tech company? 1 is your value worth. What is your value worth? And make sure your value worth is demonstrated on your LinkedIn profile, on your resume. Some people say, oh, my resume has this. I don't care about your resume. Your LinkedIn profile is the public value worth face that people see. So don't hide things in your resume and leave your LinkedIn profile without that. So value worth is 1. What is it as evidenced by this? And this is what I landed. The landing should be an impact statement that speaks to quantitative or qualitative measures of what you were able to accomplish. Number 2, don't apply for an aspirational role, especially in tech companies. They want to see that you have demonstrated strength in a specific role and you are the expert at it. Not, I'm an expert at this role, but I'm looking for that role. So nail down expertise, domain expertise. Once you're an expert in that, apply for that role. And then once you're in, you can go for aspirational roles. So that's number 2. Number 3, I was talking about the power of like, what role should I apply for? And program management is one of the roles that I always advise people, because it's a supplement to your domain expertise, but it is something that a lot of tech companies are seeking. I'm a program manager myself. I've done it for decades, so I can obviously assist you with what that looks like. But like I said, almost 1,300 roles popped up at Google. There's Microsoft, there's Apple, there's, who are those guys, Facebook or whatever, right? There's all these tech companies, Netflix, Airbnb, there's Salesforce. All these people need people who are coordinating all these things and leading activities and mobilizing them towards a common goal. So that is number 3. And then we talked about like, what are the interview types? Domain, role related knowledge, in this case, like program management, leadership, some sort of behavioral interview, general cognitive ability type interview. So, hope that answers the question. I will come again and talk more about program management and maybe even give like a masterclass on it. But I hope this answers the question. Oh, and referral, power of referral. I forgot about that. Power of referral. LinkedIn is the biggest referrer, but always make connections with all these people, with people in all these companies that you're looking to work at, because you just never know when, they say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So you're prepared, you connect with someone who's looking for an opportunity, and there you go, you're lucky. It doesn't matter whether you're starting your career, intern, just finished college, or you're very advanced in your career. With program management, there's different levels. So you have sort of entry level all the way to executive level, all through that program management track. And that's why I like it, meaning you could rise using the same skill set, just more complexity, more responsibility, more strategic, more transformational projects, but you're still in that same role profile. So we can talk about that the next time. Okay? Let me see if I remembered. One, value worth, not self worth. Two, make sure you apply for what you're expert in. Three, the power of referral. Four, specifically program management. And then five, how do you nail the interviews once you're in? I think those were the five. All right. That's it. That's all I have for today. Shout out to Caro for Arsenal winning. You know, I'm not an Arsenal fan, but you guys did well. So Champions League is going to be great. I don't even know who's gonna go through to the finals, but it's been great watching the Champions League. Chelsea, maybe one day we do it every 6 or 7 years. We'll come back. So, all right. Happy Wazesha Wednesday. Share this with anyone who you think this might be useful for. As always, I'm open. DM me with any questions. Always willing to answer. And yeah, it's been 51 weeks of Wazesha Wednesdays, so I'm proud of it. Take care. Bye.